To episode 155 of the 77 Club. Harry, start with the socials.
The Wall 77 Club on Facebook and Instagram, at 77 Club Podcast on Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Please subscribe.
Jack Williams is here.
Hi, everybody.
And so is Tom Rouse, I think, just about maybe a dodgy internet connection there, but you are back in the virtual studio and we're live on YouTube as well. And I mean, where do we start, really? I mean, a week is a very long time in football. It seems even longer if you're a Wolves fan. Friday was just the most crazy day ever, wasn't it, Harry? We were sort of going, well, look, we've got a new kit manufacturer, something to talk about, at least on the pod next week. And here we are talking about Nuno having left. Just to begin with, can I get your reaction to that news?
I couldn't believe it. I had a missed call off my dad. And I went to ring him back, and it all come popping up. Like
he didn't ring you at Christmas, does he?
No, exactly. I knew something was wrong when he started to ring me. No, and when I seen it, I was shocked, man, because obviously he'd just done his Man United press conference, and I did not expect it at all. I know it's been a bad season, but there was just no inkling, was there? And when I was devastated, I had like a sinking feeling in my belly, and then it just took a few days for it to sink in, to be honest. And then obviously all the tributes pouring, and very sad, very sad. That was my first reaction and shock.
Jack, what about you?
Kind of similar to Harry. Well, I didn't find out straight away. I was in a meeting like with work, and you know something's weird when you've been in a meeting for 45 minutes and you pick your phone up and you've got 300 and something messages like across various WhatsApp groups. So you're thinking that's more than normal. Something's gone on here. And then I've just got random people messaging me just about football and like messages saying, "What do you think about Nuno?" I'm like, "What about Nuno?" And then obviously it clicks, and it was just shock. Didn't see it coming. By the sounds of it, nobody really saw it coming, unless you were really deeply involved in the upper management of the club. The journalists didn't see it coming. The Twitter didn't see it coming. Absolute shock. And really, yeah, I think everyone for the whole weekend, particularly when you're 2 days away from the last game of the season, and you know, it can't have been good for the preparation, really. And I know it's to try and give him a bit of like a send-off or something, but it's just real questions about when was this discussed? When was it agreed? What's happened behind the scenes? What's the actual plan here? What's the involvement of George Mendes, Fosun, Jeff Shee? Just so many questions in such a short space of time that still of them, they aren't answered now. But overall, I was, gutted, really, to be honest.
Tom, I think everybody on the podcast who is here normally would have been Nuno In at the time. What would you have been? That's my first question before I ask you the next bit.
So all through the season, I've been very much Nuno In, with the understanding that he probably would go in the summer. I was neither staunchly in or out, but I think I probably would have preferred him to stay. In hindsight, and then watching most of the video that Wolves have posted this afternoon with all the questions, I think they were obviously planning for quite some time, and the stories are that since January, since the West Brom game, things have been in the pipeline to move on. And I just hope that the right decision's been made. I think it's probably, we're due a freshen up in terms of the club. Managers don't last for 3 or 4 years often in the Premier League. So Nuno's done very well to do that. And just hopefully the right man comes in now with a very good starting squad.
I was so shocked. I mean, like I say, like everyone's just said here, it just came so out of the blue, and you're sitting there going, this doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. Everybody has struggled this season in terms of, a pandemic and everything that goes along with it. We've had to deal with injuries that we haven't had to deal with this amount before, if ever, under Nuno. I can only probably count on one hand the amount of times we've had players out for a long period in the 3 years previous to this season. But as soon as you start to open up that debate and people say, "Oh, well, I think he's going to go to Spurs." It's the thing I don't get, and this thing I don't really get about football either, Harry, is that you can say a manager isn't good enough for Wolves, but he's good enough for Tottenham. And to me, it doesn't make sense. Not that he's going to go to Tottenham. I still think he's going to take a break because I think he's missed his family, and I think it goes a little bit deeper than results. But I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, well, when it first broke, that was my immediate thought. Well, he probably is going to Tottenham, but as the days passed, he's been sacked, hasn't he? Let's be honest. I know they said it's mutual, but you can tell Jeff has decided he didn't want him. Nuno, has avoided every question when they've asked, like, did you want to stay? And he just avoids it, which I think he did. He signed a three-year deal not so long back, didn't he? Or an extension to his contract. So I think he was as shocked as us. And I think the players only found out just before they announced it to the fans. And, oh, man, I think he'll take a break too. And like you say, if he's good enough to go to Tottenham, why is he not good enough to stay with us? But it's just a shock, and a lot of the Nuno Out people, I think even they were shocked. People who wanted him out, and it's a shame. And I think the reaction we saw from the fans that turned up at the game for Man United, maybe Jeff might be regretting it slightly. Maybe he pulled the trigger a bit too early. Maybe something's going on behind the scenes we don't know. But I'm still shocked now, and it's nearly a week later, and I'm gutted.
I mean, we'll talk about the Man United game, but I'm going to start at the end of it because I remember I sort of had a lump in my throat really weirdly because it was just the ground was full of emotion, and it was a very good atmosphere throughout. You know, I think it's just great to have fans back inside stadiums. They add so much, and it just changes the whole dynamic of the game. But I just thought I can't start crying here because I was with Bully, not the Bully.
Not Steve.
I can't cry in front of this guy. I was like, just hold it, just look and clap and stuff. And I sort of turned to Bully, and he's absolutely bawling his eyes out. And he's like, that was really emotional, wasn't it? I was like, I've been keeping it in. So, it
was emotional.
It got everybody, I think, in the end of just going round, and then he was sort of bowing at the South Bank and stuff, and people chant his name and stuff. And obviously at half time, he had Rao coming on and talking, which I didn't think he'd even be able to do ever again, because that injury, when he sustained it, just looked absolutely awful, and you just think there's no coming back from that. So to see him as well was quite emotional. But obviously you guys weren't famous enough to get tickets, so me and Bayliss had to go. But Jack, what was it like for you watching from a different perspective? Because it's almost different watching it on TV, because you get to see absolutely everything, don't you?
It was still very emotional, to be honest. There was a lot of obviously respecting the build-up, and I thought BT did a good job of the coverage overall, to be honest. It wasn't just like they were talking about Man United the whole time and the Europa League final or whatever. They gave the whole Nuno situation some quite good coverage, and you saw it, and it was all very emotional. And particularly the bit at the end where they had the guard of honour, him and his staff, as they walked off the pitch, I thought that was very emotional, that was, because that was the more saying, you forget it's not just Nuno, but it's the whole backroom team as well. So that's a complete refresh, clear out really, that's going to go on during the summer now. And lots of things that he brought in and the way things were set up, they're all going to change, by the time people start going back to training in the summer or August. So it's a big change for everybody at the club, and it's a massive risk for Fosun. And I think the only thing we can say is I think a lot of us were really Nuno inners, because we remember, Dean Saunders and being relegated to League One and these sorts of things. And the fact that people now think 13th in the Premier League is a terrible season, it's kind of being a victim of your own success, or Nuno's success, you think. Because if you'd have asked us 5 years ago, would you take 13th in the Premier League, we'd have all bit your hand off. But now I think people have got a little bit restless because we've maybe flown close to the sun a bit too quickly with talks of Europe and 7th-place finishes. But all you can really do is just thank him, because if you even think back to the start of Fosun, they didn't get it right at the start. It wasn't the easiest job in the world, even with the money to come in. You look at Walter Zemgo, you look at Paul Lambert and some of the players that were brought in, Texiera and all these players back at the start who just didn't cut the mustard really, even though they were Portuguese and talented. You just got to thank Nuno for everything that he's done. And I'd like to have seen him have a full summer with no COVID and full training. But, it wasn't meant to be for whatever reason. And let's just hope Fosun get it right.
Tom, probably wouldn't mind me saying you're probably not the most emotional person in the world. How emotional did you get on Sunday?
Not very emotional at all, to be honest.
I didn't think you would.
What? I tend to get more emotional when we do really good things, when nice things happen, is when I tend to get emotional. So it wasn't. I felt sad, But I didn't sit there bawling my eyes out of the television. There was quite a moving moment when he walked down the tunnel by himself at the end. I thought that was quite
Is that
yeah, sorry.
You're tearing up now.
I haven't spoken for so long. But obviously it's I try and look at things as objectively as possible, and it would have taken a lot of renewed energy from Nuno to turn around not the mess that he's left this season, but he left himself a lot of room to make up. It would have taken a lot of players to leave that he had close attachments to be able to bring new players in, and I don't think he had that energy left in him. He'd given so much for such a long period of time in manager lifespan, really 3 years of incredible football and incredible effort and passion. From day one, he was talking about how they were going to work hard every day, and they really did for 3 years. But I think it was just impossible to maintain that over 4 seasons. And then with if you take COVID out of it, I still think this probably would have been his last season, because I just can't see how he would have been able to maintain the level of performance and what he was expecting from the players for another year. Add onto that COVID and then the ridiculous turnaround between the seasons, which should never have happened. Everybody should have been given a good couple of months off and started this season in October, November. But that's a different discussion. And I don't know. I think I can't see him going to another Premier League team. I think you are right in saying that he'll probably go and have a break. I mean, imagine we've all been through the ringer for the last 18 months, but imagine being so far away from your nearest and dearest for such a long period of time. He's just going to go. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a sabbatical for a year and then came. I think Porto. I think that job. I think he's available. Maybe now he might go back and work there, or somewhere abroad for a couple of years. But all these see you soon that he keeps dropping in. Maybe he's got intentions of coming back when Frank Lampard gets sacked or whoever the next manager we've got is. But I think we'll see him again in some capacity. But I think it'd be, I don't know, some years.
It's a long time in football, isn't it? Like you say, 4 years, but also it's a long time on Nuno's CV, because I've just got it in front of me here. Rio Ave 2 seasons, Valencia 1 season, Porto 1 season, and it's the longest he's ever spent at any football club as a manager. So I mean, that tells you something, doesn't it, Harry? Because it does seem that he didn't really stay around anywhere for very long. Yeah,
definitely. And I'm still, if we'd have done this podcast, I don't know, even Monday, I think I'd have just been venting on here, because I've felt over the weekend that it's a huge mistake. But I've calmed down a bit after watching Jeff Shee's video and that today. But I really just think he's been so hard done to, because he's had one dodgy season, and I know it's the small squad's his fault, but we've had injuries, no fans, which we've relied on so much for the big comebacks we'd do in the seasons we've enjoyed under him. And I just feel like he would have got us going again next year with the injuries coming back and freshening the squad. But it's not to be, and I hope they do get it right. But it's devastating, because the memories we've had with him have just been incredible. The Europa League journey is my favourite, but there's so many games you can pick from. And although people did moan about his tactics at times, especially against the lower league teams, it's just the memories he created, and we're forever in his debt, really, aren't we? And I know he was a bit of a frosty character with the media, but you've got to just thank him.
Those memories will live forever, though they're not going to change now. Whereas if he had carried on next season and it would have been dire again and we'd have been languishing down in 17th, 18th, then they all start to fade away, those memories, and they go like, oh yeah, okay, it was Bristol, but it was in the Championship, or Cardiff, yeah, but we had Neves and we were playing against whoever it was.
Tom, would that happen? Because at the beginning of the season, I know we weren't playing well, but when we had everyone available, Raul and that, we were 6th in the table when Raul got injured. I think
it's been a top scorer.
It's been very, very poor. It's been a very, very poor Premier League on the whole. It's like, I think if you compare our points tally a couple of years ago that finished 7th, that would get us about 10th at the minute, because the top, is weighted much heavily towards the top teams than it is the bottom. 14 points or whatever it was Sheffield United have got. There's not that same balance as there has been previously, and I think it's just been. It would definitely have happened this season. We've been poor. We've been found out because every single game's on television as well. Every Wolves fan who goes to every game has seen this pattern appear over the last 18 months before COVID. And then now every game is broadcast to everybody. Everybody sees, oh God, we are actually really boring. And even the games that we're winning 1-0, I said it, I keep referring back to that Besiktas game that I got slated for, but that game we should have gone and attacked and taken advantage of a really weak Besiktas team instead of playing so conservatively and hoping that we get one towards the end. I think he would have eventually found out, and I think it's the same pattern as well that happened at Valencia and at Porto. Eventually, negative tactics and all these draws that he had with those top teams, they just don't. They don't satisfy those sort of big ambitions that those clubs have.
Maybe we're just too guilty for being too loyal, because I was guilty of wanting Lambert to stay before he took over. So. It's the emotional it's the emotional attachment. It's hard to let go, isn't it? It's really hard.
Of course it is. I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it? Football is a business, but for the fans, it's cult emotion. But if we look at this from the Tom Rouse school of thinking, in that you look at those last 6 games of the season, at the end of the season, and there's one win in there against 10-man Brighton, a draw against West Brom, who've been relegated, and 4 losses. Now, if there's any sort of lot of results that you're going to get you sacked in the Premier League, it's that, isn't it? Isn't the emotion of Nuno leaving and the way that he left and the timing of what he left sort of almost masking us a little bit in terms of what's been achieved this season? We've said the pandemic's had a huge influence, and injuries too, but the pandemic has affected every single side in the world. So I don't know if we can exactly use it. I mean, of course, it's impacted people, but it's a level playing field in that sense, isn't it, Harry? What do you think of that? 4 losses, a draw against your rivals who've been relegated, and a win against 10-men Brighton.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think, Jack, did you want to say something there, mate, before we come to me? I saw you just starting to go.
No, you go for it. No, it's fine.
Yeah. I don't know, mate. You threw me off there. I thought you were going to Jack, but I'm just, I'm still. I can't remember what you said. Jack, you can answer it for me. Go on.
I suppose going back to Tom's point then as well, that you got a point. It's his relegation form, isn't it? And I think we said it previously. If we carry on the way we're playing into next season, we'll be relegation fodder. And maybe we've been helped this year by the fact that, Sheffield United, West Brom and Fulham for a lot of the season just looked tailed off and, done really. So maybe 13th flatters us when you look at the actual football we've played. But I do get that it's been a difficult season for us especially, coming off the back of the Europa League and, short turnaround time, then having this disaster with the players in terms of fitness and the small squad, which is Nuno's fault, you'd say. I don't think it's helped, but the football hasn't been great this year, and that's why lots of people on Twitter and all over the place, lots of loud voices have been saying for a while that they want Nuno out. So it's one of these where only time will tell.
And of course, Tim Spears said that those people on Twitter are the reason why Jeff Shee sacked Nuno. So,
multi-billion pound companies often listen to Twitter to make their choices. So it makes sense. But only time will tell. I mean, whoever gets the job in the summer, I know there's some names flying about already, which we'll talk about shortly. If ever we lose our first 4 games, can you imagine? Can you imagine what's going to happen if we lose, especially if we bring in Bruno Lage, then, or however you pronounce it, and then we go on a bad run at the start, it's going to be, you think the meltdown this season was bad. Yeah. That's going to be proper, we want to bring Nuno back. We want Nuno back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Wolves fans want to bring back
made there about the Albion game, Jack, when didn't Jeff Shee, sorry to reference Tim Spears again, but he is the man in the know. He said that Jeff Shee said that they were thinking about sacking Nuno after West Brom, which that kind of shocked me. That kind of shocked me when I heard that.
If there's one thing we've learnt, though, is don't just sack your manager after a defeat to West Brom. So I'm glad we didn't do that and saw to the end of the season at least. But I think they were expecting to kick on. If you listen to the pundits at the start of the season, they were saying, Wolves could challenge like Leicester and West Ham have done, and we just haven't done it, have we really? You can blame injuries however you want, but ultimately the manager is responsible for having the squad. So you can see why.
I think it shows how important the fans are, really. I mean, the funny thing about West Ham is obviously they've done really well without their poisonous fans in the ground, and they're going to be back soon. So that's going to be a massive fall from grace. Can't wait to see that. Yeah. So, I mean, we were going to talk a little bit about the Man United game.
Yeah, I think you should, Sam. You should tell us what it's like.
So it was all very well done from what I can remember. So
talk us through your day. Talk us through your day. What happened?
The day,
we weren't there.
Not all of it, but talk about it.
Wow. So I mean, we were in the pub
for breakfast.
we're Muller Corner, weirdly, which is why I think the day got a bit hazy because it didn't like stomach properly. So, but no, it started off like any other match day, which was great because it hadn't happened like that for so long. So you're in the pub for 11. And I mean, some crazy arseholes essentially were just buying sambucas and Jaeger bombs, and it wasn't even midday. And you just think, well, this is going to go one way and it's going to end badly. So then it was almost like, okay, right, we've got to go and get into the ground now. And thought, oh, well, there's no food or drink available. So obviously you stagger into Asda, as everybody does, and sort of people staggering out of Asda, the Asda carousel of people getting meal deals and whatever. And then, it's just really easy getting into the ground. But then because everybody was so excited and high on life and the emotion of the day as well, the atmosphere was brilliant. I mean, I don't know what it sounded like on TV, Harry, but it was loud in the ground. It was louder than no fans.
I'll tell you what I will say is, after we went 1-0 down, I didn't, because obviously Traore went off injured. I thought we hadn't even scoring here when William Jose come on. But I'll be honest, the crowd definitely made a bit of an impact of us getting the equaliser. I thought they just put in that bit of extra energy. And there was one bit when I can't remember who made the pass. It might have been Martinho or Neves. They put a really good ball into the 6-yard box, and William Jose didn't even go for it. Like, he didn't even try. And the crowd got on their back and things like that. We've missed big time, even with just 4,500 in. So I feel like they did. The second half was obviously a no-show, but the response we got to get the equaliser, the crowd definitely made an impact for me watching it on telly anyway.
VAR Nightmare to round off the season, Jack. I didn't think it was a penalty. Mike Dean didn't to begin with, but as soon as he gets told to go to the monitor, it's game over, I think, isn't it? It's then clear and obvious by default.
I'd actually forgotten about that. Thanks for reminding me. I blacked that out with everything going on. I mean, Mike Dean seemed to have a good view of it, didn't he? It's one of these where, right, I'm not bothered really about whether it's a penalty or not penalty, or whether it's given with VAR or not given with VAR. What my problem is, that doesn't get given the other way around in that game.
No, I don't.
No way. You're not telling me that if that exact same incident had happened and it was on Fabio Silva or William Jose, whoever, in the Man United box, I don't think it even gets looked at. That's the problem I've got with consistency, is I still don't think it's weighted fairly, particularly against the big teams like that, because they know the backlash, if that's not given, is going to be greater than the backlash if they didn't give it to a team like Wolves. That's why they're then urged to check it. That's why Mike Dean goes and checks the monitor. That's why eventually they say, he's done 3 strides after he's been touched, but he's gone down. There is contact. So it's
and Jack, it was slowed right down when Mike Dean looked at it. He didn't give it at the time in real time. VAR didn't give it. And then when Mike Dean looked at it, it was at 2 miles an hour to make it look 10 times worse. And then he gives it.
Yeah.
Got to bring in Tom Rouse there.
For what it's worth, I thought it was a penalty.
Of course you did. You Judas.
I think it was really stupid of Sace to just go in, and he slipped, obviously, clumsy, but then he flicked his foot up, which tripped whoever it was that was going through, Donny Duckbeak or whatever. Yeah, Duckbeak. I thought it was a penalty, and I mean, the pundits all said that was a perfect way that VAR should be used, and I mean, despite it going against us, I think it's very difficult as well, Jack, to say that it wouldn't be given against us. It's, we don't know if there was a comparable one in that same game, and it wasn't. But I know.
Is it clear and obvious though? Was that clear and obvious?
No, it wasn't clear and obvious. That's the problem I had with that particular incident. But it was a penalty.
I think it was, but it's the fact it was slowed down that's annoyed me. That's all I'm saying. Sam, you can answer Mouldy's question here in the chat.
How loud was the booing of taking the knee before the game?
Bit controversial before the game, obviously.
Yeah, I think there were a couple of idiots that were booing. There was one quite close to me, but he's a bit of a prick anyway. So he's actually not on the podcast tonight, but never mind. You live and die by your decisions, don't you? I think it was well accepted in general, but it if anything proved why they need to do it and why they want to do it is the situation with Rio Ferdinand. If nothing explains why something like that is needed, it's in the same game. It's just to me it doesn't make sense. I don't know why you boo it, to be honest. But that's not for me to answer.
I think people who point out that it's a political statement or whatever like that I can sympathise with that view, but the point behind it is that they're having a gesture that shows that they're against racism. It's not pro Black Lives Matter; it is anti-racism. Derby County in their last game of the season linked arms on the side of the pitch because they didn't want to get involved in that, but they still wanted an anti-racism message, and it was just shameful and embarrassing that, as you know, the Midlands has this sort of reputation of being Brexit and EDL, all that sort of stuff. Race riots has all come
the fun nights
in the last 40, 50 years. There's been this sort of tension in the Midlands, and then for that to be our first game back, and that's how we are shown to the world, I was pretty embarrassed, really.
Yeah,
I think Wolves dealt with it well, didn't they? The stewards and that. Rio even said that himself, didn't he? They got the bloke straight out and he was arrested. So fair play to them.
Yeah. Just it was very, very strange, and you're almost you can't really get angry because it's just like I just don't understand why you do it. That was my way of looking at it. Really, I just didn't get it.
It's just stupid more than anything because he's going to be banned for life now, whether he thought it was funny at the time or not. He's going to be banned, and there's also lots of other people. He's been thrown out the ground at half time. There's lots of people who wanted that ticket for that game because of Nuno, because of the reduced capacity. And, it could have gone to somebody else, which is a shame, really.
I think so. Let's address the vacant manager's position then, shall we? Because, I mean, we spoke about it on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, saying, well, if you sack Nuno, who do you bring in? And the question remains, who do you bring in? Lots of names have been thrown into the hat. Most of them of people we've never heard of. I think my immediate reaction was, I have not got a clue, but for me, I think it has to be somebody with, I'll say, a Champions League medal, I think, and I believe it's only Rafa that falls into that category. Not that I want him, though. Not that I want him because I wouldn't sack Nuno. So, I mean, Conte,
why do they need a Champions League medal?
Because for me, it's anything else is a sideward step.
I get what you mean with that, but I think a big difference we probably want is attacking football. Because that's what the fans were moaning about. And this Lage, I hope that's the way you pronounce it. I don't know. Don't know much about him, but apparently he's Lage. Yeah, it's got to be Lage because I'm drinking Lage right now, so I hope it is.
What's the pronunciation, Tom? Lage?
I don't know.
Oh.
Anyway, with him, he's meant to be playing attacking football, but his CV, he's been Sheffield Wednesday and Swansea assistant manager. He doesn't excite me. To get rid of Nuno and get someone like him in, personally, I don't want that. I'll back him. Don't get me wrong. I will back him if we do get him in. I don't want someone like him. Lampard's CV ain't far off his, really. Is it?
Lampard's in Chelsea. To finish sixth in the Championship with that Derby team was shameful. I mean, you had Mason Mount and Fikayo Tomori and finished sixth. Come on, man.
So, but I don't see too much difference between the two, I'll be honest. Honestly, I'm going to say it, and I'm probably going to get pelters for it. I'd rather have Lampard than this Lage bloke. I actually would. And I know people are going to hate that. But that's just me. I don't like the look of this Lage. I like Lage. I just don't like the manager,
Lage.
I mean, Tom, you're almost spitting blood there when I mentioned that they need a Champions League winners medal. You're not having any of that, are you? You're not having any. I just
think it's very difficult to cast your net like that because I mean, there are very few managers that have actually won Champions League who are still managing now, who are out of work, and that we can't tempt away from their current very good jobs. So I think it's just an unrealistic attribute that you're looking for there. I think somebody who has got experience of managing consistently in the Champions League, I think is fair. Or somebody who's won a title abroad, something like that, I think is again reasonable. But
Lage hasn't he, Tom? Is that right? You know more than me.
Yeah, I mean, he's managed one season in Benfica, and then the next season, I think he had a shocker and got sacked, didn't he, halfway through? So you may as well get Claudio Ranieri.
Everyone was on about Roberto Martinez, weren't they, as well? And then Villas-Boas was mentioned, but then there was an article of him the other day winning a World Rally Championship on BBC Sports. I don't think he's interested in being a manager anytime soon.
He's a waste of time. He is Villas-Boas. Don't like him.
Today, Antonio Conte has left Inter Milan. 3 weeks ago, he won Serie A. I mean,
would he come to Wolves?
Spurs is he going to? Is he?
Spurs, yeah.
Yeah, he ain't
It'll be
coming
a
to Wolves, is he?
bigger job than us.
But not everyone can go to Spurs. All the managers can
Some
go
of them
to
are going to lose
Spurs.
out.
It doesn't go to Spurs. So didn't Spurs interview Martinez as well? I saw yesterday. There's so many names flying around for all these jobs at the moment. Even with Wolves, isn't there really? But I'll be honest. I don't particularly get excited by Lage or Lampard either. I'd have time for Benitez, but I think he might be too defensive for what Fosun wants. Yeah, you can.
Would you have Paul Lambert back, Harry? Would you have Paul Lambert?
Yeah, I would. No, but Benitez,
Yeah,
right?
just,
Yes, he's got a great history with Liverpool, whatever. But watching these Newcastle teams, it would be just as dull as people have been moaning about Nuno's tactics. So it is literally a step sideways. I know it's a safe option.
Do you think?
I know it's a safe
how
option,
many
but-
titles and Champions Leagues has Benitez won? And I don't think it's a sideways step. I think his credentials on paper are better than Nuno's. You've got to say
the resources.
Of course they are.
The resources at Newcastle were so thin that I think he did quite a good job with that really poor team.
Well, they still like him, don't they? Newcastle, and they hate everyone.
They love him, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I think off the pitch he's like a gentleman, and he does a lot for charity and things. A bit like Nuno did for us with $250,000 donation to the food banks and that.
Aaron's mentioned FFP there, and I think it's going to play a part. But I think I read it was in the Daily Mail though, so I mean you could probably halve it straight away. But Nuno was on around 10 million a year.
Wow.
That's an incredible amount of money, isn't it? And there must have been a draw for someone like him to take over a team that just finished 15th in the Championship. He's going to be on big bucks. He's going to be in the millions of pounds a year, isn't he?
Yeah, he will be. Yeah. So I think it's an attractive job, and that's why I know for some reason because this Bruno Lage was the first one that broke the betting price crashed and all the Twitter places were saying, oh, he's a shoe-in. And when Fabrizio Romano, or whatever his name, however you pronounce it, said he's going to Wolverhampton, that's usually a very warm source. But I think that they've lined up a few and they've probably had interest in a few days from a few places they maybe weren't expecting. So I think it's going to be a thorough interview process where the rumours are they're going to do at least 4 interviews. That's the things that are flying around. If you think Lage was today and there's going to be a few others as well, then I don't know. But out of all of them so far that have been mentioned, I wouldn't mind Benitez. The bloke from Roma, what's his name? Fonseca?
Tom, reveal yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
He's on a dress up as Zorro and stuff, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, his I just can't get excited by either Lampard or Lager's CV, really. And
so you say that, but Nuno's CV again before Wolves isn't as impressive.
Sam,
we were in the Championship.
Yes,
it's levels.
We were in the
then.
Championship.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's different. And also, this job, whoever comes in, the job they've got on their hands. We've seen Jeff's video, like Aaron mentioned in his comment. The FFP is going to tie our hands a little bit. We're going to have to sell to buy, mix up a lot of players. Are they going to gel quick? We might get after a rocky start. It's a huge job, whoever comes in. It could be Benitez, it could be Lage, it could be Lampard. They have got a hell of a job on their hands, whoever it is.
I'd take the gamble. Take the gamble on the FFP. Just write a check like City did. Oh, you've massively overspent? Yeah, here's a check. Thanks for the investment. We're in the Champions League final 12 months later or whatever it was. Why not? Why not? It's more than paid for the fine.
What are you going to say, Tom?
I think the fact that we're getting rid of a whole backroom staff as well, I would rather go for somebody more experienced at this point. And, in this discussion, I've sort of come around to the idea of Benitez or a Benitez-like manager because of the contacts
or a Champions
that
League winning manager.
Well, I mean, just because he's won the Champions League doesn't mean that's the reason why I want him as manager.
but he has.
He has, yeah.
He has won it, hasn't he? Yeah.
We've all won the Champions League on Football Manager, haven't we? But yeah, I think to replace a whole coaching staff, I would like somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mick McCarthy.
McCarthy, yeah.
Terry Connor.
But when we talk about selling to buy, I know was it Tim Spears came out? We're talking about him again. 35 million for Neves.
Oh dear.
What were your thoughts on that, Harry? Because as soon as I saw 35, I was like, the guy is a joke.
Yeah, well, it's got to be. If it is Neves that's going to go, it's got to be more than 35 million, has it? And again, referring to that video that got released by Wolves, I can't remember if it was Scott Sellers or the other bloke. They said that he's got a contract till 2024, and in that video, they never implied that they would look to sell him. Which things have changed. That's quite dated. That video now. It was.
They did keep mentioning Nuno as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they did keep mentioning Nuno. But I think we should build a team around Neves. Really, if Cody's not going to be able to get into the back four of the new manager's plans, Maybe he'll be the new captain. I know a lot of people have been saying that, and I kind of agree. I think Traore's going to go. Personally, I think we're going to sell him for big money. I don't want him to, but I think he'll be the one. And we will earn a lot of money. Everyone keeps mentioning if we get it right with the people who are out on loan, like Rafa Mir and people like that, we'll probably get sold for a bit. But very interesting.
Well, the thing is, I know it's just been a mad few days as a Wolves fan because we lost Nuno less than a week ago, 5 days.
It's
ago.
all right. He's not dead.
I know, but we lost him. Lost him from a Wolves.
It feels like
that. No, but we lost him, and then all I've seen since is articles about how we're going to lose half of our squad as well. Like, Neves is going, Traore's off, Moutinho's going back to Portugal. Podence and Patricio are going to Roma.
I don't get
that.
Like
thinking, well, hang on, we've got a small squad here anyway. That's the problem. So now, if we sell 5 first-team starters, we're just a complete rebuild, isn't it? You're like, what's going to happen? And that's partly, it's sort of just gone into this big media Twitter spiral, and everything's coming along at once. Where we've got to change the manager. We don't like the manager we're being linked with. We're going to lose all our players. They all want to go. Everything's Fosun haven't got any money. They're going to buy Bordeaux. It's just gone mad, isn't it? It's I get it because emotions are running high, but I think we just got to ride it out and take a breath and just see where we are this time next week. And
just give it a week.
Yeah,
I thought you were say next year or something. No, just give it a week if we can, please.
Sam, this is completely off message and off topic, but I've got to go back to it because we forgot to mention it. What was Bayless like with Semedo scored, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Against United.
He broke his wrist. He broke his wrist celebrating. Yes, yeah, he did. I was like, Bayless, we need to go to A&E now because your hand has gone black. It's like, no, it's fine.
He was saying on WhatsApp like he wasn't man of the match or a contender. I was like, Bayless, man, you're just silly now. Like, he was our best player, I thought.
Yeah, but Bayless, no, because normally he said, usually I've got loads of people around me and they support me as I sort of go mental, but because we were all socially distanced, he just went straight over the seats and then landed on his wrist. So
Moutinho to Porto, according to Mouldy.
Was that anything to do with the Sambucas at 11 a.m?
I think I might have something to do with it a little bit. So selling players, bringing players in potentially. I don't know. Can you honestly see it happening? Would you if someone said, "Do you want to sell Adama or Neto?" Which one would you keep?
Neto.
Wow. Yeah, it's got to be Neto, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
I think we're lucky that Raul and Neto have been injured, though, aren't we? Because they're not going to go.
We're really lucky that that's happened. Yeah, I can't believe our luck. Yeah.
No,
we've done so well out of that.
They just stay injured.
Come on, if Raul and Neto never got injured, they would be hot tickets. If that's the right phrase.
But I don't think we'd have finished.
People would have been going for Neto and Raul. They'd have been hunting us down, trying to get them. Let's be honest. Unless they'd have stayed fit and we'd have ended up coming top 4, qualify for the Champions League, and Nuno would have still been around. But we'll never know.
It's funny though, isn't it, from a recruitment point of view, because Sace is out of contract, isn't he? In June.
Oh no!
June
I think they've got an option or something, haven't they, with him?
I think So I mean, I suppose we've got to, because we won't have the players to.
We can't sell. We can't start selling players when we need to bring we need to bring in at least 5 first-team players as it is. If we sell 5 as well, we've got to bring in 10. So we can't just sell our players. We've got to sell the people who are out on loan, get rid of them, get a little bit of cash in, and then if we need to sell 1 or 2, that's fine. But we can't have a mass clear out. So I think,
Jack, with Nuno leaving, how many of those players will want to stay?
They've got contracts.
It doesn't matter if they want to stay. They have to stay.
Jota had a contract, but he wanted to go to Liverpool.
They wanted to get rid of Jota, didn't they? They because he wasn't getting the team, they thought it was good business to get 30-40 million pounds.
Yeah, I found that. I know what Jeff Shue was saying in that video, but when he was saying like, I really want our players to go on to other clubs and do really well, I'm happy for him. I was a bit like, no, Jeff, no, you want to sell them
to break the leg.
You want them to be terrible, Jeff.
You want to go, I can't believe they paid 50 million for that duck egg. That's what you do. That's what you want, isn't it? Yeah. Thing is, I love a bargain. And I don't know, we don't look at the loan market well enough, I don't think. Jesse Lingard has taken everybody by surprise in that sense. The loan market, domestic loan market. Sorry, yeah. The other one that's been really, really good this season, William Jose. Now, players are out of contract at the end of the season. Would anyone take Lionel Messi? Because I believe he's out of
Is he?
Getting on a bit now.
Yeah, he's out of contract. He's 33.
Yeah, he's getting on.
Was he only 33?
So he's only 33. So,
Jeez.
you know, maybe a bit of
younger
moving on
than
Messi. Donnarumma at Milan, the goalkeeper, 22 years old, absolute beast. 37 appearances for Milan this year and conceded 38.
That's a good point, though, Sam. With the hands tied, we probably will have to look at free transfers. You know,
I think so. Well, David Alaba, 28 years old, free transfer. The thing is, though, these centre-back.
There might be free transfers, but they're not free wages, particularly with some of these players. That's the problem.
Hey, you can't
break the wage structure because you'll be paying some of these 150 grand a week, aren't you? Like,
but it's a return on investment, isn't it? You know, they may be towards the end of their career, but you're never going to see the money back. And if you paid no money for them, then you're just paying for them to be there. So you're not paying for a world class player, are you? But you are paying one. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry,
so.
Comments was making.
Memphis Depay,
27.
Yeah.
Plenty of options.
Eric Garcia, Sergio Ramos. That's true. There's not many Portuguese players. Ryan Bertrand, good option.
He's a Champions League winner, Sam.
Well, he's in the mix. He's automatically in the mix.
All right, I'm getting bored now, Sam. Should we talk about the fact that Jeff answered my question today in the video?
Yes, sorry, Harry. I'm going to pass on to you because you know all about this, and this is the highlight of your week. So I'm going to pass over to Harry.
I don't know. Have you all watched it, Jack? Did you watch it? Just Tom?
I didn't watch it. I watched the first 5 minutes and thought, this is 45 minutes long. I can't get away watching that when I'm at work.
In summary, it was fairly good. They a lot of it was Jeff Shee just absolutely sucking off Fabio Silva, I'll be completely honest, saying he's one of the best 18-year-olds in the country. And they were kept banging on about buying young players to progress and get value for money. They kept banging on about that. And then the FPP with the Europa League was a big one. Financial fair. Is it FPP? Financial fair? FFP? FFP? Financial fair.
GCSE.
Financial
PPI.
fair play with the Premier League and the UEFA now is really tying their hands, as we spoke about. But most importantly, they did answer my question at the end. I said, Jeff, do you get annoyed with everyone on Twitter and the forums and in the stands giving you a lot of criticism, and has it put you off? And he did quite a lengthy answer and said, basically, no, I ignore him, Harry.
That's not what you told Tim Spears, is it?
No, Tim Spears said that we got rid of Nuno because Bib rants on Talking Wolves and on Twitter. Which was so funny when Tim Spears said that, by the way. But let's not go too hard on that.
Let's move on to the England squad. Conor Cody's made the provisional 33-man squad. I think it looks like a good squad. I don't know what everybody else thinks. I mean, Tom, as a Welshman, you'll obviously get very excited about the England squad. But I will start with you because you haven't spoken for a while, so it seems only fair. But what were you thinking when you saw it?
It doesn't look like a squad that's going to win the Euros. I'll put it that way. I don't know what they're missing at the minute, England, but they haven't got the midfield. Looked pretty small. The selection of midfielders was pretty small, considering it was a 33-man squad. I don't know the reason for that. But I don't know was Maguire in the squad? I didn't see that. I didn't see if Maguire is in there. I know he's injured at the minute.
Yes,
I didn't see it.
Yes, he is. I think he is.
Yeah. No, he was. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what the defensive lineup is for England in the Euros. Whether it is a back. I can't imagine them playing a back three in many games. But so Cody won't be playing much. But I do imagine he'll go with the squad. I think it'd be a good influence. One of the leadership group that Southgate's got, which is nerdy. But good luck to them. Hope they
just manage to win a game. I think the reason why I think Cody will go and will make the final squad is because I listened to Southgate talking about the reason he didn't pick Bamford and he picked Ollie Watkins, and he was basically like, well, Watkins scored in his last game he played on an international break, so that's why. So if Cody's scored against Wales and has had a good impression in the few times he has played for England, I think for that reason he will get in, which is good for us as Wolves fans.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. I'm going to lap it up. I'm going to get an England shirt with Cody on the back like I'm 8 years old. Don't even care. I'm a 30-year-old man. Ain't bothered.
Jackie, you think England will switch to a back three against the so-called bigger teams, don't you? So, I
think it's an option. And I think it's just Cody will go because he gives them that option. And it could be in the latter stages that you're playing against a team that's been, best in Europe, ripping teams apart, and you might want to switch it up and put 3 at the back. It's an option that's there. I don't think it'll be used. I don't think he'll be starting every game or anything. I think he might feature, but I think considering the squad he's named, I think he will make the cut. I think he will make the cut because the squads, half of them were right backs anyway for a start. You've got to get rid of a keeper. Some of them haven't even been capped yet, some of the other defenders. So I think he will go now he's got this far, and fair play to him. And looking at England's squad on paper and the 33 names there that they've got to narrow down to 26, it's a really tough thing to do. I think it's a good squad, man. It should do well on paper. It's like very talented. It's got some great players in there. But then I'm just falling into the England trap that every England fan does every 2 years when they think before a major tournament. Hang on, look at this.
The biannual trap.
Look, Kane, Foden, Grealish.
Golden generation.
Will Wales get further than England again, do you reckon?
No, not this time.
Remember when I spoke to you a few months back and I forgot Wales even qualified? I'm so used to them not qualifying. I forgot they qualified for this one.
Yeah, we got all our games in Azerbaijan. We've got Italy. I think we're playing Italy, maybe Italy and Rome, I think. And then I don't know who else is in our group even. Got a fairly decent group that we could finish second in. But if it's the same as last time and the best third place teams go through, I think we've got a chance of perhaps getting out of the group stage. Yeah,
so mate, Mouldy makes a great point about Traore. He got into Spain, didn't he? Fair play to him.
Yeah, I think he's a great option off the bench, though, isn't he? And I think realistically, if Wolves had a bigger squad that was fully fit, he would be coming off the bench a lot more, I think. And
is he definitely fit?
He just has the pace, doesn't he? Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Don't you think it looked like he just wanted to go off? I felt like it was a bit suspicious.
But the thing is, he was tearing it up at the time, though. I think if he'd stayed on the pitch, I don't think we'd have lost that game because he was giving him some real trouble, wasn't he? And after he went off, and then we brought on William Jose, which didn't look the same, did we? So, although we did obviously get a goal back, but or maybe you just would have thought, right, all I need to do now is have a good 20 minutes against Man United. I'll get in the Spain squad and then I'll just go off injured and, done enough.
Yeah. Let's finish on some positives and start with you, Harry, player of the season.
Yeah, it's a weird, isn't it, doing like a little season review here with what's happened, but it's obviously Neto, isn't it? There's no other option really, even though he got injured a few weeks ago now, or even a month or so ago. It's got to be Neto. It's got to be.
Is Tom saying no, or is Tom saying yes?
I'm saying no. I'm saying Rui Patricio has to be our player of the season purely because without him, I think we get relegated. Easy.
Really? I think you're right.
Easy.
Wow.
Neto, what did he score? 5 goals? How many assists? A handful of assists? Patricio saved us 10 points at least this season.
But Neto also was a match winner a few times, wasn't he? Got us those extra points.
Chelsea. Apart from that, how many other games did he win us apart from the Chelsea games?
Slalom skiing goal away at Southampton.
Southampton.
Right, so that's
Arsenal away.
Has he won a Champions League medal?
No, exactly.
No.
That's Patricio.
But worst player, everyone else. You know what I mean? Just everyone else.
Jack, who are you going for?
I mean, Tom's made me doubt myself again, but I was going to say Neto straight away. So I'm going to stick with Neto straight away, but he's got a point with Patricio. Although Patricio was getting some stick lately, which I thought was uncalled for. So when you see that, I think it was completely unjustified, really.
People were happy when Ruddy started against Everton. They were like, yes. See you, Patricio.
I don't get that at all. He's the best goalkeeper we've had in a very, very long time. It's definitely living memory. So I just don't get it. Harry, most improved.
Do you know what? It's the first name that popped to my head straight away, and I know he wasn't here for the whole season. I'm going to give it to Gibbs White, just because of the way he's come on recently. I think he's, for the stick he got, and I never thought I'd see him play again. When he's actually played where he wants to, I think he's been pretty good the last few games. His goal against Brighton, when he come on against Albion, just for that slide tackle against Albion, he's getting most improved for me. There we go. I'm sure there's other names that you'll all think of, but that's just shot to my head, so I thought I'd say it.
Fabio Silva was the one that came to my head. Tom,
yeah.
Fabio is mine as well. I think the way that he was getting slagged off.
2 goals against Albion.
He did, yeah. He did. It's not just a slide tackle. He from around Christmas time, he was terrible. We were slating him. I remember watching him run and just thinking he was embarrassing. He didn't look like a footballer.
He looks like a cock spaniel.
Yeah, he does. He looks like Lynn. He's got hair like Lynn from Alan Partridge.
Lynn.
But he that finish against West Ham was tremendous, and that was the sort of first glimpse of the real potential that he's got. If he spends the summer on the old protein shakes and in the gym and cuts his hair a bit rather than it looking like a brown cloud, then I think he'll come back pretty good.
Well, if Jeff's watching, Tommy, he's gonna love you because he was proper singing his praises in that video.
Don't tweet it; he'll end his contract. Jack, who's most improved this season?
I think Fabio Silva is the correct answer there. I can see why Harrison Gibbs-White as well, because I thought his Wolves career was done. He's been very good lately. If you're going to shout out somebody else as well, Aït-Nouri, who started really strongly, then fell away a little bit, and I think it's been quite decent when he's been called into the team lately, and I think we should sign him.
I'm gonna extend that point there and say the best loan player out of the roster.
Jack's just said it, hasn't he?
Probably is, isn't it?
Yeah.
You'd say. I mean, Vitinha showed glimpses, didn't he? But
against Chorley, man. I know he's been tearing it up.
Against Albion as well.
Yeah, but then the next game he was a passenger, wasn't he?
Spurs he was poor, wasn't he? I can remember that.
I've said it for the past 3 months. If you gave me the choice with one, I'd take Aït-Nouri over Vitinha.
We need Aït-Nouri.
Yeah,
Aït-Nouri and signing.
Marcel won't let. I'm surprised he didn't get injured in that 10 minutes against United.
Warm up.
Probably just hit bloody billboard falling his head or something. As soon as he walked on the pitch, the clock.
Big anvil.
Blow someone out a naked gun, wouldn't it? Harry, highlight of the season.
Wow, it's hard when you've really got to think about it, isn't it? Because it's been pretty.
I was trying to end on the positive.
I think the most mad I've gone is Neto's winner against Chelsea at home, like as in celebration. I think that's what anyone could think of at the moment.
The only other thing that popped to my mind just now was the way that the players reacted in the second half against Arsenal away after Jimenez's injury.
Great.
Not necessarily a highlight, but the character that they showed, everything that Nuno's been talking about over the last 4 years, character and determination, that was shown in that second half. So not necessarily a highlight per se, but a good moment.
A silver lining almost. I think, is that all? Was that all that we would look at as
goal of the season?
Well, just the moment of the season was Gibbs-White against Brighton because it won me 500 quid.
You were sending him to Swansea about 2 minutes before that, weren't you?
2 minutes prior, when he missed the sitter, he was on the bus to Swansea, but now he's got the keys to the city.
Didn't Moutinho officially won goal of the season, didn't he, for the goal against Arsenal?
I'd assume so. Yeah, that was the best goal of the season.
Actually,
Neto's was good. Yeah.
That was a great goal, wasn't it?
Was it the first goal or the second goal? Certainly against Sheffield United in the first game of the season, Jimenez's volley was for a really nice move before that. Was it a volley or a header? I can't remember. It was a good move.
Volley. It was a volley, yeah. It's like a side of his foot, wasn't it? Yeah, it's like a side-footed volley on the edge of the box.
After about
those were the days. I thought we were going to win the league after that game.
Turns out we were playing against the worst team in the world.
Jeff Shee referenced that as well. Jeff Shee did reference look at Sheffield United, so this season could have been much worse. That's what's weird as well, because they were praising the fact we'd come 13th this year, and then 7 to 14 days later, Nuno's out the door. What's that meme you always say about Sam? I think it's off the Peep Show where they go, "Are we the bad guys?" I reckon that's
the one where they dress as Nazis.
I reckon that's the way Jeff Shee felt when he turned up at Molineux for the United game. He probably thought, when they were all booing him, he probably thought, "Are we the bad guys?" Or that would have been him.
Hang on a minute. Yeah. Well, I mean, the next time we speak, we probably won't be able to walk because it is the charity match at Molineux, and I'm just not looking forward to running around for 2 minutes and then not being able to breathe. I think Bailiff has put me at centre back because I'm tall.
We can ask Rouse at what it's going to be like, because you've already done it, haven't you, Rouse? You played in Finner's game.
Yeah.
Is the pitch bigger than we think it is? Is it knackered?
Well, so I remember thinking.
Depends how big you think it is.
Yeah, I thought this is easy. This is. It was just like playing on a normal pitch, but then it's just sapping because you're so excited to be there. It's like the old adage about when players used to play at Wembley for the first time, they used to run around like mad, and that was what exhausted them because they were so excited to be there. So take it all in, boys, but take it easy.
I did tag you in the Fancast post trying to get onto.
Well, it's what I've for years of slagging them off. This is the repayment, isn't it? I can't. I'm busy anyway on that day, so I can't.
But I think we better ask people to donate, aren't we, Sam? That's the right thing to do. To mine.
If go to Fancast on Twitter and do it through there, and just raise some money. Great cause. And to be honest, Jack, I just cannot wait. I think it's worth all the money in the world to watch Jack play at Molineux. It'd be like, the pitch isn't that big. It'd be like, it's the edge of the box, you knob. But there you go. But you see what happens. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. We will, I guess, we'll see you next week for the last one. Harry, is it worth doing a post-match review? I mean, we might have a manager by then. So
do people care if we just do a podcast talking about that game? I don't know if it's
I think let's wait and see what happens, and we'll do one ad hoc as and when we need to.
Yeah, when we've got a new manager, we'll drop a pod. That's pretty simple.
So when they announce Lampard next Tuesday, we will do a podcast.
Yeah, and then by the Thursday, I'll stop crying. So thankfully,
I'll get my old England top back out, mate. I'm getting my old England top back out if we get him. Lampard number 8. Come on. I'll wear it.
He's to leave it on.
He's got a Champions League medal, hasn't he, Lampard?
Well, you've got to be in the conversation then. It qualifies him. Right, okay, look, we'll say goodbye to Harry Mansell.
as well.
That's true, actually. Yes, he did. Yes,
right,
he did.
get
97.
Lampard back.
Right, quick. I'm trying to say goodbye here. Goodbye from Harry Mansell.
Yeah, goodbye, everyone. And thank you, Nuno. If you are listening, I love you.
Okay. Beers kicks in with Harry. We'll say goodbye to Jack Williams.
I love you too, Nuno. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening this season. It's been tough.
And Tom Rouse, who's hated Nuno for his entire career.
Not at all. But boys, I just wanted to say thank you to you three as well, because over the last 5 months, I've really enjoyed every Thursday morning or whenever it's come out. So I've been an avid listener. So thank you for having me on when you have done as well.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate
You're more than welcome. Very, very kind words. And it's a goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Ta-da.